Hello everybody, and welcome to the latest Vanilla IP webinar, where we've just noticed that I've been demoted from Sales and Marketing Director to Channel Manager, but I'm going to take that one on the chin and continue undaunted through our presentation today. So thanks very much for taking the time to join us as ever, or if you're joining us by looking at the webinar on our website. Today we want to talk about analytics. We want to talk about the power of the Uboss Analytics, and of course we'll be talking about it in terms of its multi-levels that it services. So we're talking really here about distributor, reseller and customer analytics that can be very, very powerful as you take your products to marketplace and as you run your sales teams. Now, from a point of view of these webinars, we run this series of webinars to try and increase your knowledge and appreciation of the products and services that we do. We know that this is attended by a lot of our current partners and also by prospective partners who are coming to see what all the fuss is about at Vanilla IP. If you go to vanillaip.com/webinars, you'll find that there is a series of past webinars that you can look at, and that covers a large number of subjects, including our very popular 12 months free smart user program, but also things like the omni-channel contact centers, which are making quite a lot of headway, the education user, and a number of other webinars that we've been running for the last 6 or 9 months. So do please go there. It's probably also worth just catching up on some of the Unity stuff and the Akixi stuff directly, because as well as the analytics that you can get from the Uboss portal, obviously Akixi and Unity are providing some very specialist analytics and reporting with relation to contact center or group call management. So don't forget those as additional tools that you'll be taking to market. So today we're going to talk about the analytics in Uboss, and we're going to talk about measurement and management. And I suppose the first question is, what is the purpose of this measurement? And it's really the collection of the statistical information that allows you to assess the performance of things against your expectations. And it's either going to help you to provide trends so that you can follow a positive trend and ignore or move away from a negative trend, or you might even want to use it for benchmarking. And one of the areas we might highlight here is how we can encourage people to use more flexible working, to service the new group of employees coming into the marketplace who want to work in a more flexible fashion. And sort of weigh that up against the concerns that businesses have that flexible working can lead to a fall off in productivity or staff not pulling their weight, etc., etc. So hopefully what we'll show you today is that with a series of analytics tools within Uboss, we're able to help various different departments, either within your own organization as a reseller or out there in your customers' environments. And the first and some would say the most important group, and certainly the two people who are looking over the desk at me right now would say, the most important group might be the marketing team. And essentially what we're looking here at is does the information that we've got help you understand what to target? Does it help you track the performances? And it's here, and I'll show you a couple of reports when we've been through the slide deck, but we can start to look at the performances of queues, how many customers are coming through these marketing routes or these inbound routes that our marketing team is reaching out to, how many people are coming through and making selections on an auto attendant. So if we have a smaller business, we're not landing queues on there, but we can place a selection criteria on an auto attendant and maybe gather some marketing information from there. And then we may run things like this, webinars using the conference bridge, and we can look and see if we can show how the attendances work with regards to those webinars or conference bridge calls. So the marketing department is one of the groups of people, one of the stakeholders that you might drag into a room if you're going to see a customer, who can benefit not only from the services but the analytics. And certainly along with them will be the sales and support team management, who might be looking straightforwardly at what manpower they require, what are the volumes of work coming into the business, and how best can they be managed. And also when we layer in things like omni-channel contact centers, chat queues, do we take down the manpower requirement because the call peaks and troughs disappear? And does that demonstrate the actual power and success of some of these alternative communications tools that you place on board? So again, it can be used to prove the success of products and services that you've brought together. Productivity is a very simple factor that people want to measure, and although you can't take statistics on their own as the only governor or governance for the performance of staff, certainly call volumes and certainly queue agent performances can be an indication of how each member of the staff is performing against each other, but against your expectations as well. And from a manager's point of view, you might also be asking your supervisors to use call recording as a means of understanding in greater depth the performance of your staff. But if they fail to use that call recording, they may fail to spot that extra advantage that you can get. So again, I'm going to show you a report, very simple report in the suite that helps you understand whether call recording is genuinely being used for training and monitoring purposes for improving the staff. We'll also talk about not only the ad hoc nature of these reports, but being able to schedule them in. And again, from a manager's point of view, simply looking at that queue performance in the same way that the marketeers might do so is also going to be an indication of how their sales programs are running and how they should expect their pipelines to be swelling. Then move on to management, and again, this is you as management of a reseller partner, and it's very much down to the manager of the businesses that you're working with. But this whole idea of benchmarking is an interesting concept. If somebody is contemplating flexible working, they may take and record and store trend analysis on performance statistics that we can get from the Uboss portal, and then releasing people to have working from home sessions or 2 or 3 days a week where they don't come into the office. Naturally, they then got something to measure that performance against, and if there's consistency or even an upturn in performance because of flexible working or home working, the business will be able to relax into the dividend that sort of working practice can bring. You can do checkups on start and end times based on the calling and all that sort of thing, and also you can see where they miss and bounce calls, i.e. are they moving away from their desk, are they not as attentive to the inbound calls that they should be. And we'll run through and we'll look at auto attendance and the call recording again for these guys, and again the conference bridge, whether people are collaborating in the simplest form by getting together in groups and discussing projects. So again, scheduling reporting is often a good way of us understanding this, and that includes the reporting that you can do in billing. So we're not going to touch on billing today, but those of you who are already using the Uboss platform to run the billing will know that you can create your own selection of reports and information that goes out with each bill, and that information is then sent to the customer, but can also be interrogated back in the portal if a customer wants to go straight through. And finally, just a common one for businesses to know, there's always a question, what are we buying from you? We are cloud service providers. We are there to try and ensure that customers only pay for what they use, and if they need to hand something back, we should possibly adopt a flexibility that says to do that. But what makes that easy is if the businesses themselves are able to see the inventory of services and the users of those services that they've got in play. The final thing that we touch on is really where we started to try and add more information for resellers so that you can track the revenue performance and the profit performance of the work that you're doing. Now, you might use this to create some interesting commission propositions for the sales teams or even the support teams. and you might just use it to track things like product penetration and ensuring that you're getting the margin call right on your products. So again, we've put in a series of order tracking and profit tracking reports into here. Now it's very difficult to actually show the profit tracking one, so if you speak to the channel management team here at Vanilla IP, we'd be more than happy to go through those reports with you live in your office. But let's do what we normally do at this point and go and pop into the actual proposition itself. And I'm just going to walk you through the environment where you can see these reports, and also walk you through the methodology for gaining reports. So here's the Uboss portal. I've laid out a few reports here, and I'm using our business, DRD Communications, for GDPR reasons. But I just wanted to start to touch on those areas that we've just worked through the slides. So from a marketeer's point of view, I may want to try and break down in greater detail the analysis on incoming calls. So whereas the sales support desk or the sales desk may simply want to just have all calls to sales coming in, the marketeers may like to know where those calls come from. So a DNS call queue, which breaks down individual number flows into the same call center, may be a very, very good way for your marketing teams to be able to see that in this particular case, out of 10 inbound calls, they've seen these 3 different DNS numbers, these 3 different inbound call numbers produce these various stats. Simple to do, and just to give you an indication of where it is, if you go into the reports and into the call center reports, you can find the call center summary reports, which can then be brought up against a DNS number. The other thing that you'll see just while I'm in this first screen is there are a tremendous number of very useful reports, and I would urge you to take the time while your channel manager is visiting you just to scroll through these reports and see if you can identify any other ones which have got particular strength when your salespeople or when your support people are talking to the customers. But you can see here that we've got a very large portfolio, and this is us looking down at the business level. If you look at your reseller level as well, you'll also find a similarly large number of useful reports for you to utilize. Let's kick on across though and just take a look at a few more. You may have seen these, you may not. I'm just going to look now at the auto attendant report, and this is where we can probably indicate that, going back to the whole idea of having differentiation, pretty much everybody can sell an auto attendant to a customer. The question is, how can we measure the performance of an auto attendant? How can we see what different types of choices are being made? And again, from a marketing point of view, if we're not running queues, we may choose to have an inbound auto attendant that says, you know, press 1 for IT sales, press 2 for telecom sales, press 3 for mobile sales, and that in itself will give them an indication of the inbound calls and what was motivating the customers to call. So when we sell, and sorry, obviously that also translates into your customer's business, where they may want to segment down to something as simple as, you know, male hairdressing, female hairdressing, if it's a shared salon, and it gives them an idea of what the appeal is and how the marketing programs are going through. So selling an auto attendant, but also stressing the availability of auto attendant reporting may be very strong. Equally, the conference bridge is something that is provided with no monthly charge. It's just a pay-as-you-use service. And if you deliver a pay-as-you-use service like this to your team, you may want them to hit and organise as many remote meetings as possible. And because you can send a conference call out as a diary event, it makes it more of a solid meeting than perhaps just saying to somebody that you'll give them a call. But if you are providing the tools to your staff, it may be interesting for you to see who is actually utilizing them. Now, you won't be surprised to see that I was very keen to put this report on the screen because I'm supposedly the #1 user of the conference bridge here, something that would disappoint Dave coming in second there. But if I then go through as a manager, I can drill down through. You see anything in our on-screen reporting that has got a line underneath it means that it's a drillable resource. So I'm just going to click into that. And what it will now do is it will break down and show me what those conference bridge calls were. And here's the ugly truth of Ian Sinnott's use of a conference bridge. He uses it as a call when he's demonstrating certain services like the Unity call control scenarios. So you can see that out of the 17 meetings that I've had, a number of them have only included one caller and myself, and I've been using it for a very short period of time to demonstrate something to do with call control. But it also highlights the ones where I've had multiple parties on a call and I've been on a call for a very long period of time. So it's a good way of businesses understanding who is using the proposition well and who is using it less well. So moving on to the sales department, etc., we'll talk about some of the reports that help us work with our sales teams and just highlight a couple of them here. The heat map report is a very easy way of analysing whether or not you have peaks and troughs, whether you've got any core general flows. And if you've not seen it before, you've got time of day and day of month on this particular schedule. And it will tell you and help you to understand whether you have got a particularly busy Friday pattern, if it's always on the last day of the week, a particularly busy morning pattern, if they're always at the top, and a particularly busy evening pattern. It might also show you outliers. Now, we don't have too much of an outlier example here, but it might show you outliers maybe down here in the evening, and they may be an indication that your consumers want to talk to you outside their working hours, and that might be a reason why a business starts to employ people from home or working on chat queues in the evening. So a useful report from a manpower point of view. If I then move on and have a little look at the call recording, listen and download report, again the report is accessible through the normal directory, and I'll locate it in a minute when we go through. There it is in the middle of the MIS report. So this download report. And this has two uses really. Firstly, if I'm a manager and I'm asking supervisors to go through the call recordings and listen to their staff and understand where they're going right and where they're going wrong. If I don't see them going on to listen to their staff calls, then I'm going to question whether or not they're using the tool that I'm paying good money for them to have. The other thing that we can do on here, and this should be presented to every customer that you sell call recording to, is this is an important part of their GDPR obligation. The manager or the compliance officer of a customer should take this report on a monthly basis and scan it to ensure that no party is downloaded or listening to recordings that they should not be a party to, and most especially that nobody outside the organisation, and it would say parent in the recording access by area, nobody from a higher level has access to recording which they were not requested to do so, perhaps if you were investigating a call quality issue. So that's a useful report from the service point of view. And what I should just touch on here, and I'll go back here to do it, is that you can either run a lot of these reports just as an ad hoc report, or you can go to the scheduling tool here and you can drive that through and then create exactly the same report as you've done, but by using a scheduling tool. And that allows you to pick it to come hourly, daily, weekly, monthly, the form that you would like to take it, but rather than it producing on screen and you having to download it, it's going to pack it in an email and send it to you. And I'd strongly advise when you set your customers up to select the reports that are going to best emphasize the tools that you've delivered them and get those reports scheduled so they're arriving to them. They'll become more reliant on the reports that you've set up for them, and that makes them stickier customers, obviously. So I'm just going to leap forward now, and I'm going to talk about management tools, and we could spend a long time in this particular report because it's the call logger report, and as you can see, both it's schedulable, but it also has an enormous number of selection criteria. So many people within the business may want to take advantage of setting up a scheduled report to look at the performances of their teams or look at the performances of certain inbound numbers or inbound queues, etc. So it is a very, very wide collection of call information which you can call on to do that. And obviously it also represents the easiest search zone for the call recordings. So if you narrow it down to all those with call recordings, you can see that all of the calls that you've got recorded will appear there. And because I've got security level at the high enough level, I could download and listen to any of the calls there. So very easy if you want to triage a customer complaint, that sort of thing. And again, either for yourselves when you're looking after your staff, or your customers can find out a very powerful mix between easy analytics and easy access to a call recording capability. I'll move on and just look at this very simple report. And again, there are so many, we could have spent all day doing this, and I should stop soon before you lose the will. But here is a report that allows people to very easily see their consumption of products. Here are the core packages being consumed by DRD Communications. Many of them test. We haven't expanded our UK staff to 318, and even with the development team, we're not 318 quite yet. But it also allows you to drill down into the services that you've got there. And again, as before, you can further drill anything that's underlined to see who those services have been deployed to. So if your customer is wanting to go through and understand why they're paying money, they can go through and understand exactly what is consuming those extra numbers. And if you've got an additional number policy on there, you'll soon find out that it's your conference bridge that's got an international number on it, so that you can attract your American or your Dutch colleagues to come and talk to you more easily. So almost there. I think I've just got one more report that I wanted to show you, and again, from a management point of view, or from you as a reseller point of view, there are a series of reports which help you understand what's being sold or what's being cancelled. So there is a big report, and again, do please ask us to show you this next time we're in your offices if you're a current partner of ours. Certainly if you're looking at us from the first time, have a look at it. But there's a very detailed report that shows all of the products and services, whether they're ongoing revenues or one-offs, but they will show you and allow you to have an environment in which you can prove profit and profitability, and also link that back down to the salespeople who are making those sales. So it's a very powerful analytics report that helps you look at things from a commissions or a service consumption rate. But this live service report, which you're able to go into, is going to allow you to look at a period of time, maybe this month so far, and understand what the ons and offs have been. And again, you can export this so you can get a good flavour of which businesses and which services are being turned off and turned on. So this is at a business level, so we know they're all to do with DRD Communications. Equally, you can do this at higher levels to see what services are being consumed. A similar report exists for hardware, so you can see what sales are running through and what hardware's been ordered by customers, and you can see any self-service activity that's happening from customers as well. Okay, so look, that's really us taking a very quick dive through that, and I hope that's maybe opened your eyes and encouraged you to want to go back into that reports portal with the help of either the account management or Lewis and Krisha. I know will sit behind us as a team and help you with any investigations that you've got. But we'd encourage you to add reporting to a pitch, because most people can supply things like auto attendance and call recording, but can they provide the analytics with the same power as you to make it a truly useful tool to the stakeholders you invite to the meeting? Work with the customers to get the value from those analytics. So again, preset the reports, or at least preset the hot buttons on the Uboss portal to take them to the reporting area, so it's easy for them to go in and reconsume something that they found interesting on the initial install. Help target and track your business performance. We've brought out some really great tools in call center, contact center, mobility, etc. But why not look at the product penetration, work out how the cross-sell, upsell is working, work with the marketing guys to try and put some emphasis on those revenue-bearing products that you can add, and know the value of your sales success and how well you're doing against targeting ARPU or profit per customer and that sort of thing. So I hope you've enjoyed this brief overview of the reporting portal. We probably touched 20% of what it's capable of delivering to you. I'll just check, do we have any questions? I've obviously been so informative that there are no questions as they stand. But take the time to have a look if you can. Do give us a call and get us to walk through it. Naturally, we can do that in a virtual or an actual meeting, thus being the tools at our disposal. But again, thank you for taking the time to join us or for clicking into it on the portal. And do please reach out to us at the contact details provided.